With less than 3 months until California voters choose the next governor, we're taking a closer look at how Governor Newsom has spent his final year in office. Good evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. We recently received his calendar showing where he's been, who he's met with, and what has taken up his time. ABC10's Jeannie Nguyen breaks down the details and takes a look at how Newsom's schedule compares to past governors.
Well, Alex, we got his calendar through a records request, and it shows his schedule from January through April of this year. Now, keep in mind, the governor's office says the calendar does not show every Newsom's commitment. I also spoke with two former governor press secretaries about a typical day and how the governor's schedule is made.
Mr. President, you can't cut off critical food assistance for millions of people.
That was Governor Gavin Newsom during this year's State of the State address. The annual address lasted for about an hour, but according to his official state calendar, the prep took a lot longer.
Affordability? It's not a word we just discovered.
Through a records request, ABC10 received the governor's schedule from January through April. It shows Newsom spent days rehearsing the State of the State address, adding up to nearly 20 hours.
We also know he has a little trouble with formal speeches, and he needs probably extra time to rehearse that. Every governor will rehearse a speech.
Steve Maviglio served as former Governor Gray Davis's press secretary.
There's things that show up in your calendar, things you don't. Part of being a governor is running as a candidate. So you have to do some political activity, which you're not allowed to use state resources for in any way, shape, or form.
A look at Newsom's schedule from February 21st through the 25th show, quote, no official business. But ABC10 found the governor was in Rock Hill, South Carolina on February 23rd promoting his book, Young Man in a Hurry. On the same day, he also campaigned for the South Carolina Democratic Party. As the former press secretary for Governor Pete Wilson, Kevin Eckery emphasizes that sometimes things weren't put on the calendar for various reasons.
In Governor Wilson's first term, we had 27 declarations of emergency. We had the Northridge earthquakes. We had riots in Los Angeles. We had so many disasters, literally, that it was sort of like a week without a crisis. We didn't know what we were going to do.
When it comes to interviews with the press, ABC10 counted 13 scheduled interviews from various national outlets like Bloomberg, MS Now, Vogue, and International Press while in Germany. ABC10 has been requesting a sit-down interview with Newsom on nearly a weekly basis since July 2025. The governor's office has repeatedly declined the request, saying, quote, not currently tracking any availability. Maviglio believes this is deliberate.
It's no secret that Governor Newsom wakes up every morning figuring out how he can be the next president. So I think his schedule reflects that. He'll spend more time talking to a podcaster in Tennessee than he'll be talking to the Sacramento press corps. And that's because he sees that as something that's going to advantage him politically.
But Eckery believes this is a sign of the times, and Newsom is aiming for reach.
That it's more difficult now than it was in the 20 years that years ago when I was doing it, because the press corps is smaller. The number of people who follow the day-to-day happenings in Sacramento just aren't as great as it was at one time.
And I reached out to the governor's office and asked if he's prioritizing national and international media over local and the protocol for scheduling sit-down interviews. His office says he does not prioritize international or national media over local media, and he regularly holds press conferences to make himself available for the entire California press corps. Again, Alex, I will continue to push for a sit-down interview with the governor, and if you want to see the full schedule, we've posted it online at abc10.com.